Good evening, this is Kuro. Got a ranked game in my Nicholas. I had some people request this ship, and gonna get a couple commentaries out. And apparently, I'm hauling ass along with the matchmaking. I'm gonna stop this here. Um, Basically, what I'm looking at matchmaking wise, this is the second leg of the sprint, I guess, where it's 8v8, a little bit larger teams. Um, so it can create some issues with destroyers with there's more guns to shoot at you, that kind of thing. Um, so going over the matchmaking, we're looking at, pretty stereotypical ranked, at least from last season in my opinion. Um, have 4 battleships, got 2 cruisers, 2 DDs, and the DDs that I'm facing, Mutsuki, uh, obviously outspots me, can be a torpedo threat. Honestly, this ship is, I don't really hold the ship in high regard. I think I think that Minakaze is a better choice than this destroyer. Um, so is what it is. I mean, it can still be effective with its spotting. It just comes down to its guns. You you're really gonna have a hard time being even defending yourself in this ship. And this is a very teamwork oriented boat because of that. Um, the wrong way, as I call it. Um, Stereotypical British destroyer with deep water torpedoes. Um, it's it's a solid boat, although I do not like that it can't use torpedoes against destroyers, and in that regard, particularly in ranked, where a lot of this is about just rooting out the enemy DDs and killing them. Um, I feel that the Pan Asian line kind of struggles with that in the lower tiers where you're not able to mount radar and those types of things. So, on to the game. Now, this video switches from my other video that I'm releasing at roughly the same time, where I play this boat, around my team, predominantly defensive, um, and working on the enemy DDs, providing vision control for my team. That's the core of U.S. destroyer gameplay. Um, this I'm going to show you how you kind of can shift this more into an offensive mindset. So my game plan is I've got more DPM than any of the other enemy DDs, so I'm going to roll up on BCAP. And kind of my game plan is usually the enemy will send their ships right around in here. I'm going to drop smoke in here for my cruisers. Smoking your cruisers is critical because they're all squishy as hell, and you don't want those guys being shot at. You don't even want them being seen. They can provide a lot of good DPM for your team, so let them know what you're doing. I'm letting them know, hey, I'm gonna smoke here, clicking the squares, and then I don't just drive right up and smoke. I actually wait till these guys get up in here, because by the time they get in here, that means the enemy team's starting to enter into the field of fire. So I'm gonna lay my smoke, and I'm looking to get on the cap, and something's gonna make me change my mind, and that's the wrong way popping up here. I want to basically, this guy's bow in like this. This is super aggressive. He's got to panic smoke and try to get out. I want to try to get as much damage on this guy as possible. He's really, I feel like they're only like potentially effective DD. He gets chunked hard, and I'm just going to add my guns to the mix. That shot right there tells me that nothing is in here behind me yet. So I'm just going to keep pushing up. I'm going to push around this island. I want to get spotting back out over into this lane. Now, guys that are flanking, don't do that. Don't just drive right into the cap. You really need to, you know, edge out, sniff around a little bit and see what's going on. And I'm looking at this smoke coming in. I know it's the Motsuki, and I'm looking to see when I can drop torps on it. So I don't want to come around this corner and get detected by the Caesar. So I hold up for a minute, and I expect this guy to be in his smoke screen. And I get surprised because he's actually pushed out of his smoke screen, and he's actually being pretty aggressive. So kudos to this guy. He's not just gonna do the stereotypical try to cap inside of a smoke screen and get his ass torped off. So, and this leaves me in a little bit of a predicament with this island. I've got his team that can shoot at me, and what I'm doing, I am just varying my speed, and like right here, you know, turn that way and nudge the island because it will slow me down quicker than anything else will. He thought that I ran aground, as I'm sure a bunch of his teammates did, whereas all I needed to do was turn my rudder off the rocks and I can keep going forward again. So, you know, little bit of advanced driving there, and I'll just pause it right here for a second. Because it's one of the ways that you can throw people's aim off, by using a rock to basically, you know, stop. And let me let my ship straighten out and get a better view of my ship. And basically what I mean by that, say there's a rock here, and by turning my ship so I go this way, the tail end of my ship is going to rotate out and into the rock. And I can use that to immediately stop me, which will throw off everybody's aim that's shooting at me. And just by even releasing my rudder, because there's nothing blocking the forward portion of my ship, I can go forward. So a little bit of cute driving with getting caught in a bad situation. And right there, I was in a bad situation. Because I couldn't really go this way with that Caesar being there. And I was turned bow into the cap, which, you know, is not the best situation to be in. But I was able to avoid most of the damage with, you know, changing my speed, using the island, and just making myself a hard target. And, you know, we picked up the kill. My team was able to basically finish him off. I picked up, you know, probably 7k damage on him or so. And, you know, the enemy DDs they're done. So, the initial smoke screen, that was me playing around the team. And now I've given all of these ships the ability to use these islands to farm the enemy. I want to get out here, I want to spot, and I'm going to start being aggressive and using my consumables for me, and enabling me to do some more damage. So come up here, there's a Congo pretty close, and picking up this cap, their team has to push. They have to push B, so what I'm setting up for is dropping torps in here because I'm like 90% sure this guy is gonna push right in here. You'll see it once I switch to torpedoes. He's, you know, his indicator, you know, he's just now starting to turn in. And I expect that, you know, you can see it turning out now. I still think that he's gonna turn right in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and drop one of my smokes. This gives me the ability to shoot at a bunch of other ships. can see him, you know, I predicted this was turning in, and for some reason this guy just stops. I don't know why. You know, battleships, you know, it is what it is. Um, but he just stops right there, and, you know, he's dead already. These torps they're short range, but that's the only bad thing about them. They're fast, they hit hard. Um, now, using my guns, I'm smoked up. I can shoot pretty safe here. I've got low health targets. Use my guns. You know, finish these guys off. And I'm seeing I got a second low health cruiser here that I can work on. Get a fire on the Omaha. Omaha's down. Switching to Kurov. And his smoke tells me he's stopping here. So I lose sight of him. But I know that I can keep firing in this vicinity and get him. Finish off the Kurov. And this Caesar's pushing up. This whole thing, my smoke screen, is just one big huge, you know, fuck you to the enemy. They don't have radar. They've got to push, you know, basically inside my torpedo range to try to detect me inside the smoke. And you know, it still is kind of a defensive mindset with your torpedoes that you want people to like push into you, but you can, you know, do like what I did where, you know, use this island to break line of sight, let you get inside torpedo range, and then just drop smoke as a safety, uh, you know, just general safety. You know, somebody pops a plane or something like that. Why spoil the fun? Why risk getting spotted? Something else to point out here. When I torped off this side of my boat and killed this Congo. Now I'm dumping torpedoes on this Caesar. You know, you've got a ton of torpedoes. You know, and you can really wreak havoc with these close-in situations. You'll see it in the other game where I try to torp 3 battleships with my torps as part of my last stand. You know, and you can turn some games around by, you know, being able to pull off an ambush. Say you come around an island and you nuke, you know, 2 healthy battleships with your torpedoes. Yeah, that's a play right there for your team. Now my smoke's running out. I need to get moving. Torps are back up, just dropping them back out, and I'm just accelerating forward into my smoke, trying to disengage. That battleship gets nuked, and I'm just gonna come right back out here. I know that this Caesar, he just ate torps, but he's, you know, what's he gonna do out here? Drive to the map border? You know, and at this point, I'm content just to hold this cap, but I know that this guy's gonna be coming. He's gonna turn back in. He has to stay close because they have no more spotters. So he's going to have to try to self-spot targets because this guy, you know, chances are he's going to get behind an island or something like that. So if he wants to save his star, he needs to, you know, stick relatively close to these islands so he can spot my teammates back in here so he can shoot. So I'm just going to bide my time. There's no race. You know, with the way that the smoke firing mechanics are, I can smoke up in this gap, and anytime he shoots, if I have line of sight to him, I'll spot him. And the other nasty thing is, by smoking up in here and clogging the channel, it also makes it more difficult for this guy to spot my team back here, which will also draw him closer into the smoke. So I basically backed up a bit. I wanted to make sure that I could keep this guy spotted for my team, and I get a quick spot. This guy's doing what I think he is. He's turning in, so it's time for me to get in my position. I see him shoot, and just get, you know, a quick flash sight picture on him. I didn't get line of sight quick enough to get the full 20-second spotting. Now what I could do and I was debating, was actually creeping this smoke out further. I mean, if you can see, I've got almost another 6 seconds of smoke. If I kept hopping my my speed between half and a quarter, I could keep creeping this smoke out further and get closer to this guy. And at this point, I stopped here because I wasn't sure if he was just going to turn and rush in which case I want to get, you know, torps on target with this ship not being high enough tier for propulsion. It's a little sluggish from a dead stop. So that's why I didn't extend this smoke screen out. Just pretty much playing careful. But I got a minute 52 right here where I can just sit. And by the way, this is a potato captain. This is only a 10-point captain. I wanted to run this as basic as I could, and he's shot. That gives me the field of view and lets me know he's also on reload. Um, so I'm gonna rush him, and this actually gets a little more complex with the rush than what I was originally thinking. And what I'm thinking here is, I know this guy's gonna turn out. He's been turning out all game. So I'm going to drop my torps expecting him to turn out. And once he turns out, he's going to bleed off a bunch of speed. I'm going to swing in behind him and then use this next set of torps to finish the job. But what I see is, okay, he's starting to turn out, but looking at his guns, he's trying to shoot me. So if you look, and let's go back a second. If you watch him, I'm starting my turn to use my right side torps, and I cancel that when I see that he's lining up a shot on me. And what you're going to see, I'm going to turn out this way, and that's going to force him to see his guns are locked on, and I start turning out. He's trying to shoot me, and by turning out like this, he's got to, if he's going to try to shoot me, he's got to keep turning like this, which is bringing him right into my torpedoes. So turning in this direction, I'm preventing his front guns from being able to shoot at me unless he basically gives up his life to my torps. And that's game. So little bit of that was a really good torpedo run there, where it wasn't just your run out and just torp something. There's some thought behind this that I thought this was a good example to demonstrate for you guys. 2K base XP, 4 kills. Most of the kills were just kill securing. 87k damage. Honestly, you typically aren't going to be looking at this kind of torpedo damage. It's one of those things. It will happen occasionally when you do a good job and you pick up that extra cap and you basically plop yourself down in the path that the enemy has to push in order to win the game. If you do that, you can rack up a lot of torpedo damage. That relies on the early game with excuse me, being aggressive with the enemy DDs, getting them off the table. And once you kill the enemy's ability to contest caps, that's when they have to push you. And that opens up, the second stage of the game where you can start to use your torpedoes pretty well. Nicholas is very well suited towards hunting and killing destroyers. The torpedoes are good for clearing out smoke, those kinds of things. You've got, I believe, the highest DPM, or if not the highest, you're up there in like the top 2 or 3. decent amount of hit points. You've got really good maneuverability. Something also to consider, defensive fire. You're one of the few ships that can actually run defensive fire, and you can save your help save your team during CV fights. The ship has a lot of flexibility, but it also requires a lot of thought to how you approach it. You can't just, sit out there and torp like a kamikaze or a minikaze or something like that. So, um, hope you guys enjoyed this game. I know last game or last season you got a bunch of kamikaze, or well, actually it was the Fujin, but you basically got a lot of kamikaze replays, and I just wanted to get this ship in because I do feel that this is a very viable ship in rank, and it will serve you well if you use it with a brain. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the game. If you got any questions or comments, leave them below, and I will talk to you guys later.